you're about to be the CEO of your new business. It is your business. So yes, we want you to trust us. We have a lot of experience. We're experts in this stuff. But it's your job to come with the overall vision.
We help people with ideas get them to revenue.
Hello, welcome back to the 52Launch podcast. This is season 2, episode 7. I'm Jalen, the marketing manager.
And I'm Paige, a project manager and designer here at 52. And welcome to a very special Halloween edition of our podcast. We're here to talk about some truly terrifying things that happen in the world of product development.
So today, we've each prepared a list of some spooky, scary mistakes you never want to make. And we've seen it all. I prepared some marketing mishaps, and Paige will be tackling the design and development nightmares.
These things can happen a lot more often than you'd think, but don't worry, we're here to show you how to avoid these common mistakes. Number 1, not doing enough research. Sometimes people start developing a product and they don't have any research done. They say there's nothing like this in the market, no one's thought of this, but maybe they have and they just haven't found it. Maybe you come up with something for yourself in particular and you didn't bother to do the research to see who or how many other people would want to buy it. Just because you want it doesn't mean everyone else does. So you need to take advantage of your personal network and the internet. You need to interview and talk to people, test it out, see what other people think, find your competitors. You know, a lot of people say there's no competitors out there, but there's always a competitor for every type of product, even if it's not exactly what your product is. See what's working for them and ways that your product would be an improvement to your competitors. Just do your research. There's plenty of it out there. Number 2 is not filing for an LLC. This is a must, especially when you're trying to turn your product into a business. And number 3 is probably the most important. Having the wrong reasons. This is a huge mistake when you're going into product development. If you are going in with the main goal of getting rich and not actually developing a helpful and needed product, you're not going to be successful. You should be inventing something that's necessary and not just for the sake of inventing something. Think of something great first and then figure out how to build a business around it.
That's absolutely true. Now, moving into our marketing mishaps, our first category will be logo and branding segment. So the first one is when you find the perfect domain, but all of your social media handles are taken by either companies or other people on those social media platforms. Sometimes it is a bummer, but there's always ways around it. You can always find different kind of ways that you can change the word, play with the wording, add things into it. It is a little scary at first, but there's always a solution to it. Another one is stealing logos from somewhere else and passing them off as your own. This is one of the biggest things that's a huge no-no in the logo and branding world. Something that we really try to stick with people is that be as authentic as you can. Something that comes with branding and marketing is they're going to remember you by this one little icon or picture or even specific colors. So it's really important to stick with that and make sure that you're being kind of individual and different from everyone else so that you don't get mistaken for other brands or other companies. And that's the worst thing that can happen. And lastly, not having a branding guide or having one but not sticking to it. Sometimes people start using other fonts and colors. It's really important to have a cohesive and recognizable brand for so many reasons. It should be consistent throughout everything related to your business, website, advertisements, appeal, even when you're sending out emails. It's really good to stick with the same brand tone when you're talking to people, just so that people know that you're all sticking to the same branding and it won't be as messy to other people.
All right, moving on to product design and production. This is a big one. There's a lot here. So starting off, the scariest things on our side, when the 3D print fails and when the CAD crashes and it didn't save. This is the scariest thing that can happen for anyone who knows design or engineering. But some scary mistakes that we see our clients making Number one, getting a patent too early, which doesn't seem like it would be a mistake, but if you're spending thousands of dollars to get your idea patented before the details are hashed out, you could end up feeling pressured to stick to that and ending up with a worse product than it would have been if you were more open to exploring other mechanisms or materials, whatever it is. A big one is not testing properly or at all. And we do testing for our clients, but this is your product. You should be testing it all the time. And you should have others test it too. You should have friends and family. Not testing is scary. We don't want to get to mass production and now all of a sudden you're testing it for yourself for the first time and you want to make changes and it's going to be super expensive. Another scary mistake in design is trying to do too much. So if you're trying to adhere to every single audience, you want it to be travel friendly, you want it to fold, good for young people, older people. You could either have a bad Swiss Army knife or a really good product. So you want it to be great at one thing for one type of audience instead of kind of good at a lot of things. Another one is sustainability, when you're trying to be sustainable, but you make it single use. And then moving on to production. This is probably the scariest thing in product development. It's communicating with factories. It's scary. That's why we do it for you. A lot of people assume that because we're taking care of it, it'll always be straightforward. And they get frustrated with this when a sample comes out and it's not the quality they want or it's taking too long. But those ups and downs will happen with any manufacturer, especially the ones that are overseas. There are language and time barriers, and we have years of experience, and it still doesn't always go to plan. That's why we're the ones to deal with it, because we've done it so many times before. It's unfortunately just a common experience. Not sampling. This is another big one. You can't expect a ready-to-mass-produce product without sampling. You're going to waste time and money. The average project needs at least 2 samples, if not 3, to get it right. And this is regardless of what type of product it is or what factory you're using. It's just really important that you make sure the samples are right, you get enough that you need. We can make iterations along the way. On that note, something scary that sometimes happens is when the manufacturers ship the samples and they arrive broken. Believe it or not, that has happened a couple times before. It's very rare, but when that happens, it's pretty spooky. This next story is one from our head of design, Mike, who's not here right now, but this is in his words, not mine. 'Twas the night before a meeting. Something happened with the build plate on the 3D printer, and it was running and running and running. It didn't stop itself, and it created this mass ball of plastic, and it consumed itself. It broke the hot end, and they had to rebuild it, and they ended up with no print and a broken 3D printer. So truly terrifying things that can happen here.
Now we're going to move into our last segment of marketing mishaps. We're going to jump right into website photography and videography. The very first one that we've always noticed is using AI for specifically website content, posts, or design. We all are very intrigued by AI, and it's very interesting, but also very spooky and scary. But not only can AI create a low production look, Meta also tags content as imagined with AI. So Meta is one of many advertising platforms, and over the course of the next year, that's going to be happening to other platforms as well. So it's not a good look for the brand, and there's a notion that the brand is either cutting corners and letting AI do the work, or that the company in general is just not very genuine, and it may come off as fake. And that's something on the internet a lot of people have to be wary about. Second, not having enough pictures on your website. We've all been to a website that has way too much text and no photos at all, and the next second you probably think you're going to get a bunch of bugs on your computer. It's never a good look. All text, too wordy, not eye-catching. In today's age, people will not be able to pay attention that long. That's kind of why we love to add in photos and videos to get our point across and kind of communicate what the product is and what your business is instead of writing that all out and having people read it. People don't want to read all of that. They kind of just want to be shown that first. Third, not having enough variation in your photos and videos. You want to show different scenarios, use cases, and locations. We all have seen a couple of businesses or brands that use the same background over and over again. Yep. And you wonder if this is just one person taking over the business or are there other people involved? And it starts to look a little sketchy, and that's not the best case for that. So that's why a lot of times we'll do either a white background for your products, or we'll bring your products to a different location and show it exactly where you should be using it, or just to show it in a different light. Another way is shooting photos, videos on your phone for the website. Hiring a professional will get you much better results with consistent colors, which is very important when showing a product. It's also just to make sure that everything looks either high definition or honestly just more professional in general so that people take your website seriously. Especially when you're very first starting out, you're not going to have too much on your website to fill the space. So what's really going to be standing out are those photos and videos. So you want to make sure they look as professional as possible so that people know that you're reliable and that you're a great business to buy from.
Absolutely.
Also, not thoroughly planning a photo shoot with background, lighting, time of day, models, etc. Failing to properly plan leads to content that doesn't highlight the product in the best way possible. Content feels very random, it feels unplanned, it doesn't really fit with your branding guide like we were talking about earlier, and it just seems very random, and sometimes it might even communicate the wrong idea to your potential buyers or people just stumbling across your page. People might get a little confused on how the product is used or where you should use it or what it's for. So it's very important to thoroughly plan everything. Another one is not shooting in raw. I don't know how to say that.
LOG? Log? I'm not sure if you can hear that. This is our photographer, Alex. He's helping us run the podcast. You said raw and log profiles. Again, to the point of having a professional to help you with this stuff.
Very important. We know a good amount of this stuff, but when it comes to very specific things when taking photos, specifically those picture profiles, it's very important. Those profiles allow you to add a color grade that fits the mood of your product and scene and make sure everything looks great. And then lastly, not setting up your taxes on Shopify.
This is a common one.
Yes, very common. Or only setting up taxes in your home state. The goal is to be able to get you some of your products sold in other states other than your home state. So it's very important to set that up and make sure everything's squared away. The worst case is if we're launching your product and we get a bunch of sales and look at your Shopify and it's telling you that you haven't set it up. And then a lot of people get in trouble and it's just not a fun, ideal situation to be in. So that's something that we always tell people to be aware of. And then kind of going straight into just marketing. We have a couple of marketing mishaps specifically. The first one is buying your own product and losing money. So surprisingly, this does happen a lot. And that's one of the top things that you should not do. There are ways where we can help you either place a test order to make sure everything's running smoothly and running through your Shopify, and make sure that your distribution center is sending out everything correctly. But the worst thing you can do is buy your own inventory. Not only are you using part of the cost for your own distribution, your own inventory space, you're just wasting a lot of money that you're practically paying for yourself. So it's just never a good idea. And if there's something that you're wondering how to do, you can always reach out to us and we can help you out with that. Secondly, when a client keeps editing and changing campaigns on digital advertising platforms during the 2-week learning phase. So on every single digital advertising platform, there is something called the learning phase, which lasts 2 weeks when you initially launch. Something that happens on these platforms is it's a huge computer system that holds a mass amount of information on every single person that's been on the platform, which looks like Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, all those things. So when you try to set up a campaign or you're doing advertising, the computer system has to be able to take your advertising and your ads and kind of file them into the correct places or the correct folders. And that does take a long time. I bet if we were doing it kind of just by ourselves, it would probably take way longer than that. So 2 weeks, I know it's a lot when you're first launching. You're super excited. You want to edit things and make sure everything looks great. But the best thing you can do is just let the computer work and let everything kind of untie or fix itself. And then we can go in and kind of work on that later. Third is when they click on their own ad. So kind of going back to the very first point of buying your own product and losing money, it's kind of a very similar process. When your ads are going on these platforms, say you are scrolling on Facebook and you see your own ad or you see other ads, you should not click on your ad if you see it. Why? Because practically you are going to be paying on these platforms for people to click on your ads. And there's this thing called cost per click. What that means is that basically these platforms will take out a specific amount of money in order to get someone to click on it. So when you are clicking on it, you're taking money out of your own pocket. So it's never really a good idea, and it does mess up data.
Spooky.
Yeah, super spooky. So you never want to do that. Even though it's very tempting and it always looks good, you don't want to do that. Kind of another thing is thinking the minute they have their product on the market, it will be an instant hit, believing you'll be the next big thing a year within your launch. While that is the goal, and we definitely want to get you to that, it's honestly not super realistic within the first year. Most businesses that you see that are huge right now, you can kind of research and look back. They never had that kind of start either. A lot of people, it takes time to build brand awareness. It takes time to get people to see it. You can spend as much money as you want, but you're never going to reach every single person in the world. You never know who's going to click with your product or with your mission of your business. So it really does take time to find the correct people and then also marketing towards them as well. So there's a lot of things that go into it, but the best thing that you can do is just keep reaching people, different audiences, and you'll eventually get there, but it does take time. Second to last, talking about your product too soon. So a lot of people think that a pre-launch for your product is a great thing, and it is a great thing, but there are certain ways that you can do it. Usually, pre-launches are actually an illusion, and that's a thing that people don't realize. Usually, companies will already have their product, and they will have it in their inventory, in their distribution all ready to send it out, but they will kind of send out ads saying that we don't have it ready yet, it's not ready to be sold, but it really is being ready, but they want to see how many people are interested or how many people or how many products they're going to have to sell so that they can already get ready before that happens. So although it's really nice to talk to people about your product before it launches, you also have to be very careful in case anything changes, especially with your first round of launching a brand new product. You want to make sure everything works the correct way. Packaging looks great, marketing looks great, and website. There's a whole checklist, and you want to make sure everything looks great before you're showing that to other people. And then lastly, thinking you will sell without marketing. So I know a lot of people, marketing is a whole skew of things, and you can do it in a lot of different ways. But the worst thing that you can do for your product is just not talk about it at all. Marketing is talking about your product or your business. So even though you think you're not doing it, you secretly are always, but not kind of putting money aside for marketing is something that can kind of hinder your product's growth and your sales growth, because marketing is kind of an investment. The more you put in, the more you're going to get out. So the more money you spend on marketing and getting people to see it, the more sales you're going to get out of it. And that's a lot of things that people don't realize and can get a little spooky, scary, but it is very important. And here at 52Launch, we really like to break down all of our services that we do for marketing and a bunch of different opportunities that people can do no matter your budget or what you're trying to do. And there's always a way for you to do marketing without making something huge and elaborate.
Finishing this up, some just bigger picture things. Sometimes people just don't really have a direction and they say, everything is fine with me, oh, that works, this works for me. You're about to be the CEO of your new business. It is your business. So yes, we want you to trust us. We have a lot of experience. We're experts in this stuff, but it's your job to come with the overall vision. You are the expert in, maybe it's a pet product. You probably have a lot more experience with this type of product than most of us do. So you're not bothering us by telling us your experiences, what you want, or having us make changes. It's a lot better than having regrets down the road if you wish you did something different. Also, when you focus on micro decisions, people tend to get hung up on these small decisions when they should be focused on the overall picture. Maybe it's a logo, a brand. I mean, you see that a lot, right?
Yeah.
You need to get the entire process set up and go to sales, and then you can start going back and making improvements each step once you need it. And lastly, the scariest of them all, what the heck do I do after I launch my product? And that's actually the fun part. So it's so overwhelming. It usually takes some time, like even a year, like we just said with marketing, before sales start coming in. But you need to be proactive. There's a lot that you can do.
Yeah. Post on social media, be active, attend shows and expositions, or even host an event. You can do giveaways and just enjoy it.
Yeah. Just remember to have fun with it. Stay excited about it. The more excited you are about it, the more that other people will be too. So don't let yourself get discouraged if you don't see sales right away.
Yes, absolutely. But this has been our episode of Spooky, Scary Stories with 52Launch. Don't forget to show us some love on our YouTube channel and social media.
And also check out our upcoming pitch event. That's right, it's back. We're hosting it in our office on November 14th, 2024. And for more information and to apply to pitch or to be a part of our audience, you can check out our link on our website. It's www.52launch.com/pitch2024.
Yes, and we'd love to see everyone there, not only just pitching your event, your idea. We'd love to hear that, but we also would love to see some friendly faces in the audience. But thank you so much for joining us, and we hope you have a happy Halloween.